This is CBC Nova Scotia News.
Good evening and welcome to CBC Nova Scotia News. And Amy, tonight I feel we should be saying Snova Scotia.
Oh, that's right. We are more than 18 hours into this powerful nor'easter. We're not in the clear yet.
The impact so far is dramatic. Other than a few brave souls, Halifax is a ghost town. And along the Atlantic coast, powerful storm surge is pounding the shoreline.
We'll have the latest on the impact this storm is having in just a moment. But first, let's bring in Kaylin Mitchell for the latest forecast.
Hi there, Kaylin. One heck of a storm.
Certainly is. Extensive drifting and blowing snow. And to really drive that point forward, I want to take a look at some very preliminary and unofficial reports for some snowfall amounts for some of the airport sites around the province. So Greenwood, 45 centimeters, very believable amount considering the bands of snow that have made their way into the Annapolis Valley today. Halifax International, 24 centimeters. Seems low to me. I would say around the greater Halifax area that we're probably looking at snowfall amounts now 30, maybe up to or in excess of 40 centimeters of snow. Yarmouth 20 centimeters, but around the southwest of the province did get some general reports of 20 to 25 centimeters with some rain mixing in earlier with this weather system. In Cape Breton, well, it's really just ramping up for Cape Breton, ongoing for them for this evening and tonight. But so much blowing and drifting snow because of the winds. So take a look at some of the peak winds reported for those same stations. And Greenwood has actually just exceeded that 107 kilometer per hour gust with one near 111 kilometers per hour. So extensive drifts, extremely poor visibility conditions in the whiteouts that have been ongoing throughout the day, and those blizzard warnings, of course, in place for the province. Now, we're not done yet. We still have snow, as you can see, wrapping in off of the Atlantic. It is starting to get a little bit lighter, beginning around the Halifax area and moving down towards the southwest. It's through this part of the province where it will continue to ease, slowly ease, as we move through this evening. There's still some accumulating snow, though, around Halifax, and then the steadiest of the snow now in place through eastern parts of the mainland up towards the north and northeast, as well as Cape Breton, and they're going to be in it through this evening and tonight. Huge storm system, very slow mover. Here's the center of it as it's just beginning to pull to the east of the far southwest of the province. We still have warnings out by Environment Canada. They do include blizzard warnings across the entire province. Storm surge warnings still in effect around the Atlantic coastline. We will be hitting another series of high tides between 9 p.m. and midnight in general around the Atlantic coastline, and there will be an increased risk of seeing some coastal flooding. It's already been reported a number of locations today, including around Liverpool and Shelburne, and the wave heights are quite high up and down the Atlantic coastline, in some cases in the vicinity of 5, 6, even 7 meters. So we'll have to be careful about those coastal issues with this storm system. Like we've been talking about, slow to come in, very slow to move out, but we'll talk more about the clearing process that we're going to see behind the system. I want to come back in a few minutes, Tom and Amy.
That's something to look forward to.
Yeah, definitely here right now. All right, Ken, lots to talk to you about in just a few moments.
Well, most of Nova Scotia remains at a standstill tonight as this blizzard continues to pound the province. Highways
are a big problem right now. The province has had to shut down Highway 104 near Amherst because a tractor trailer has jackknifed across the highway.
The CBC's Carolyn Ray has been looking into the impact of this storm and joins us now. So Carolyn, it still looks pretty stormy out there.
Well, you know, I thought it was getting better, but just as you came to me, I got a lot of snow right in my face. So you just can't predict what's happening out here, you know, and while it is getting better, the cleanup is beginning. And if you can take a look at these snowbanks, there's got a lot of work to come in the days ahead. And of course, some of that work is working with reconnecting the power grid. About 14,000 customers are without power right now, and it could be tomorrow night before some of them are connected. But let's take a look at what happened through the day. The winds started howling overnight and never let up. Snow piling on the streets, a hammering of winter weather that shut down the province.
I'm from Saskatchewan, and this is like nothing I've seen so far. True Nova Scotia experience right here.
The Halifax area is a virtual ghost town. Police asking all non-essential services to stay off the roads, and people listened. Just the scattered vehicle passing by. The plows doing what they can to keep up. Those who had to work mostly went on foot.
Pretty gnarly.
It is. I had to turn around a couple times because the wind just straight in your face, knocks you over a little bit. And snow up to my knees for the most part. So yeah, it was a trek.
I'm very fortunate to live close enough by that I can walk to work. For those that have to drive into the hospital, essential workers, boy, we got to give them credit. But we got to be there for the patients, so that's what we're doing.
While some are battling snow, others are struggling with rising water. The storm surge flooded parts of the coastline from Shelburne to Halifax. These crews spent the morning trying to protect restaurants on the city's waterfront. The St. Mary's Boat Club battered by the wind and waves. Nova Scotia Power is already warning people to bundle up and hunker down. With road conditions this bad, some crews can't reach problem areas. It could be tomorrow night before power will be reconnected in some parts. And of course, at this time of year, lots of people hoping to go south and escape the winter. Well, if they had flights booked today, they were out of luck. Every flight at the Halifax airport has been canceled all through the night. And already there's a list of flights canceled for the morning. So if you are traveling, look ahead to see if you're going to take off tomorrow. Back to you, Amy.
All right, some delayed travel plans. Thanks, Carolyn. Carolyn Ray reporting live for us tonight.
Thanks.
And as we just heard, storm surge is having a huge impact on the coast tonight. Just check this out.
This time lapse of the coastline in Shelburne comes to us from Nova Scotia webcams. And as you can see, the water has been slowly creeping inward throughout the day.
And the power of the surge was also on full display up the shore in Liverpool today as well. And there you can see more of the ocean coming ashore in pretty rapid and startling fashion there as well. So that happening right up and down the coastline of Nova Scotia today, and we're expecting it to happen again. Yes.
Well, as we heard from Carolyn earlier, the storm has pretty much shut down Halifax. The city says it'll take another 24 hours before street conditions improve in residential areas, even longer for sidewalks and bus stops. Mayor Mike Savage spent the day at the Emergency Management Office in Dartmouth. That's where he joins us now live from Facebook. Hi, Mr. Savage. How are you?
I'm okay. How are you doing?
Good. Now, we've been hearing that you've been with emergency officials as the storm continues to blow. What are they saying to you?
Well, it's obviously a very serious storm. We have a lot of crews out that are working on the roads. What we're hearing is that while we've had a lot of snow down, probably in excess of 40 centimeters, we still have more to come. And many winds and storm surge ahead of us, so there's a lot left in this storm. And there's a lot of people out there doing a lot of great work, trying to make the place as safe as they possibly can.
So what is the strategy for clearing roads and cleaning up this massive amount of snow that has fallen, and as you said, it keeps falling?
Right. So it's continuing to fall. So we have made the decision that, we can't run buses tomorrow. We're going to try to have buses on by 5 o'clock tomorrow night. We will aim to have the ferry running at 7 o'clock in the morning. Our crews are out all night. It's going to be a while before they can actually clear snow and have it stay off the streets. So on the main roads, that's where they're focusing, but it's filling in pretty quickly. So we're hoping as early as possible in the morning that they'll be able to get into residential neighborhoods and start the dig out there. It's going to take a while with sidewalks and bus stops, but we are trying to get the buses going as soon as we can, and it looks now like that'll be 5 o'clock tomorrow evening, although the ferries we hope can run in the morning.
How big a dent will this put in the snow clearing budget?
Pardon me?
How big a dent will this effort put into the snow clearing budget?
I can't quite hear you, Amy. I'm hearing a lot of noises.
Okay, we'll give it one more shot. Your snow clearing budget, are you thinking this will put a major dent in?
Well, we're not sitting here with a calculator. We'll have to do that at some point in time. We've had a pretty good winter so far. We certainly know that there will be an impact, but you have to spend the money at a point in time when you need to provide safety and security to the citizens. And so we're doing everything we can. I don't think it'll be anything like a couple of years ago. I think we're going to be okay. There's certainly a cost to it, but that's one of the services we provide and that we have to provide.
Well, what is your advice to residents as they work through this storm into the rest of the week?
Well, I think the residents are being very wise. Most of them are at home. We recognize that some are without power. Nova Scotia Power is here as well. One thing I can tell you is that we have an incredibly effective emergency management organization here in Halifax and in Nova Scotia. All levels of government, all organizations are here. Everybody's pulling together, police and fire and transportation, transit, as well as provincial organizations. So I think people are doing the wise thing. Stay off the roads if you possibly can. If you have an emergency, call 911. But try to stay off the roads and let us get the roads clear. We have a lot of people, over 200 pieces of equipment that'll be out and are out now getting this thing ready. So as much as possible, be safe.
All right. Well, thank you, Mayor Savage. Mike Savage joining us live from Dartmouth tonight.
Thank you.
And there's another disruption from the storm to report tonight.
That's right. It's forced the McNeil government to postpone tonight's emergency sitting of the Nova Scotia legislature. The Liberals will recall the House tomorrow to introduce legislation to impose a new contract on public school teachers.
Now, with the latest on this, we're joined by the CBC's Paul Withers. Good evening, Paul.
Well, good evening to you, Tom. Stephen McNeil says he did a lot of soul searching, but had no choice but to step in when last week teachers rejected a third tentative agreement that had been recommended by their union. Glooscap Elementary School teacher Rachel Creaser has been outside Province House for 2 days now in anticipation of the Liberal government's legislation, braving the blizzard to make her point.
I am here because I am protesting the government legislating teachers into a contract. I think it's a direct threat to working people of Nova Scotia and the collective bargaining process.
While Creaser faced the elements, her union executive were holed up in a Halifax hotel, gearing up for the battle that was delayed but not stopped by the blizzard.
Teachers are not happy. Teachers are very upset that Stephen McNeil would bring forward a bill to basically crush their right to free and fair collective bargaining. They do not want a contract imposed on them.
For most of today, McNeil was prepared to plow ahead with tonight's special session in the face of opposition who said it was needlessly risky. But this afternoon, the Speaker's office said the storm was worse than expected, and Stephen McNeil issued a statement. After updates from the Emergency Management Office and Transportation, it is clear the Speaker cannot ask staff to report to the Legislature this evening. Tomorrow we will proceed with our plans so the lives of students and their parents can return to normal as soon as possible. Back at Province House, Rachel Creaser is a one-person reminder that whatever public support the Liberals enjoy on this, they have made and motivated enemies in an election year. Like her union, Creaser is putting all of the blame on the Liberal government.
The Premier and the Minister and their negotiating team never came to negotiate. They had an agenda from the beginning, and they were never going to move on any issues. So that is already not collective bargaining.
But your union recommended acceptance 3 times, though. There was something in that deal that they could...
That has to be done because they need the public to see that this is what's happening at the negotiation table. If they didn't send the contract to us, we couldn't show our disapproval of what's going on there.
All right, so Paul, if all goes according to the new plan and the Liberals introduce this bill tomorrow, how long will it take for it to come into effect?
Well, the practical effect of postponing the legislature by 1 day is to really push the debate and its passage into next week, meaning more time for opponents to rally against it. We won't see the bill until tomorrow, but the goal is obviously to stop the job action and end work to rule. But, you know, I'm already being asked in social media, what's to stop the teachers from following the letter of the contract? Will this legislation require them to do more than the contract? So it should be an interesting day again tomorrow and throughout this weekend into next. Tom?
Paul, thanks very much. The CBC's Paul Withers, he is live in our newsroom tonight. The storm moving across Cape Breton at around 2 o'clock, and so now police are urging people to stay off the roads, and local hospitals are operating on an emergency basis only.
Thank you.
Earlier today, it was a mad scramble across the island as people got ready for the storm to hit. The CBC's Gary Mansfield has that story.
Classes were canceled and government offices closed at noon before the blizzard hit the island.
Finally getting the winter.
As people prepared for the first big winter storm.
We're all ready for it. We're all going to be batting down.
Many scrambled for groceries and last-minute items.
Everybody's here getting their storm chips.
What about yourself?
Milk and bread.
Get lots of water and food and hope that the furnace doesn't conk out. You know, that's what I can do, charge everything up.
We've had all the trucks out early, applying a load of salt to the roads.
As plow operators salt the highway, mechanics are repairing damaged trucks and getting them geared up for the storm. The Department of Transportation says they're planning for a large weather event, and it may take some time to clean up.
With the high winds, It's going to take at least 12 hours to get a lot of local roads open, so we ask people to have some patience with us.
The municipality says people should be prepared for power outages.
Portable radio with extra batteries, lots of extra blankets, being able to stay prepared in case of any sort of unexpected emergency for at least 72 hours after weather events.
Making room for snow.
While Jeff Clark chips ice away from his driveway.
Just getting furnace oil for the house so we don't freeze.
Matthew Dean and his wife stock up on furnace oil and say they love winter.
It's gonna be fun.
I love it.
You love it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Why is that?
Because that means summer's coming.
Yeah.
Movie nights and popcorn and family time. It'll be great.
Gary Mansfield, CBC News, Sydney.
And as this system continues to make an impact into tomorrow, more service interruptions and cancellations are definitely possible. For the latest information, you can head to our website at cbc.ca/Storm Center.
The Prime Minister is in Washington today for his first face-to-face meeting with Donald Trump.
And news of the region's weather made its way south.
Any day I get to visit our southern neighbors is a good day in my books, particularly when it's so nice and warm compared to what it is back home. We are suffering under a significant winter storm that's hitting our Atlantic provinces particularly harsh. So I just want to send everyone back at home my thoughts as they shovel out and impress on everyone to stay safe.
And we'll have more on Trudeau's visit to Washington coming up a little later in the show.
You know it's a bad storm when they're talking about it at the White House, don't you?
It's true. We've made the news.
All right. Workers who serve some of the most vulnerable people in Halifax are getting a lift to and from shelters today, courtesy of a local off-road club.
They started early this morning and will be going right through to tomorrow at noon. Now, Shayna Luck has been talking to one of these snow angels and joins us now live on Chebucto Road in Halifax. Hi, Shayna. Here's Shayna's item right now. We have an audio problem with her mic.
Blazing through the blizzard in Halifax, this off-road club is now helping coordinate drives for staff at all the shelters.
Jesse Brunet, who's our Halifax captain, got us started with Adsum House, and they do great work. It's we're just happy to help.
Some of the shelters are open at all hours, and they'll be particularly busy during a blizzard like this. But when driving is dangerous and walking is best done with snowshoes, getting to work is tough on shelter staff. Particularly in unplowed subdivisions, it's hard to imagine anything can get through.
We'll have we'll have people that will say, you're never going to make it. You can't get up my road. My brothers, uncles, cousins, whatever, couldn't get there, and he tried with his four-wheel drive truck, and we'll say, well, no, actually, we're sitting in front of your house.
But by midday Monday, the club had given about 20 rides, with 20 or 30 more to come. For people like Len Spencer, driving in conditions like this is fun.
As a rule, you don't go out in these conditions, and for us, this is beautiful.
In fact, he's looking forward to more.
Hopefully the snow continues and we'll continue to have another long day, and it'll be great. I wouldn't change it for the world.
All right, now we can see and hopefully hear Shayna. So Shayna, are these same Jeep drivers who pick up the hospital workers during storms?
Well, it's the same idea, but this is a different club, and these people are concentrating specifically on shelter workers. I talked to Sherry Lecker, the executive director of Adsum House, and she said they are just so grateful that this club is able to pick up their staff and take them back and forth, because otherwise they might not be able to get in at all. And because their clients have nowhere else to go during a storm, this is an absolutely essential service. Amy?
Right, such important work. Thanks very much, Shayna.
Makes me want to get a Jeep.
You want a Jeep
now? Wouldn't that be a lot of fun on a day like today? Quick break coming up, of course.
Yes, but there is a lot more to come on the show, including we'll have an update on highway conditions and hear from Nova Scotia Power about how they're dealing with hundreds of outages.
Welcome back to the Weather Center on this very stormy day in the province. A major winter storm. As far as my career goes, I would list this at the top of some of the strongest nor'easters that I have personally seen. Big time impact to the province. I want to begin with the current look at temperatures. Now, at first glance, these temperatures don't look too bad. They're in the range of around -4 to -1, but you factor in those very strong winds and many locations still feeling well down into the minus teens. Now, on satellite, you can still see the moisture wrapping in from this weather system. It's underneath all this cloud cover that's coming in over top of Sable Island and then back towards the coastline of Nova Scotia. And if you follow that through, you can actually see where the steadiest of the snow is still expected to be around as we move through this evening and tonight. And that's Cape Breton. That's certainly up and towards the northeast. Even around the Halifax area, they're still seeing some accumulating snow. It does become lighter moving down into the southwest of the province. Couple of things with this weather system. The track of it, far to the south of us, kept a lot of rain from mixing in. There was a little bit of that for communities around the southwestern coastline. Additionally, it kept the drier air that often wraps around these lows from getting into the province as well, and that can take a big chunk out of snowfall total. So really an ideal track for us to see a big snowfall event, and that's exactly what we've seen. And of course, it being a very slow-moving weather system as well means that the high winds and the heavy snow have been very persistent, and it is a long-duration weather event for us. So heading over and taking a look at radar, I mentioned that things are a little bit lighter down in the southwest, and they are, but there is still some light snow falling, and it's not out of the question that you do pick up some additional accumulation in through the southwest of the province as we move through this evening and tonight. There's no sudden stop to this weather system. It's just a gradual easing of both the snow and the winds with it. Around the Halifax area, we've still got that steady snow moving in, but the darker blues you can see now shifting a little bit further up towards the eastern shore, definitely into northern parts of Nova Scotia. They've had some very heavy bands go through areas like Parsboro and up towards Spring Hill and Oxford, and now Cape Breton into that heavy snow wrapping it off the Atlantic, and it is going to be around for this evening and tonight, and pick up accumulations out of that. I mean, much of the province is going to finish with snowfall amounts between 30 and 60 centimeters out of this storm system. So let's take a look at our forecast model as we move through this evening and tonight. So here we are at around midnight. Should have broken down to lighter snow and flurries across much of the southwest at that time, but still steadier snow for the north and northeast of the mainland and into areas of Cape Breton. That becomes a little bit lighter into Tuesday morning, but through the morning hours there are likely to be additional local accumulations in Cape Breton, as much as 2 to 10 centimeters in some areas, and in this little bit of lighter snow and flurries around the north and northeast of the mainland, there could be local amounts of 2 to 5 centimeters. Otherwise, tomorrow the rest of the province looking at a mix of sun and cloud and scattered flurries. How about the winds? So currently we're taking a look at some sustained winds around Nova Scotia. Take a look at Westport out of the north. That's a sustained wind at 91 kilometers per hour. These winds are leading to some power outages around the province. They're also driving all of that blowing and drifting snow. And the gusts are quite incredible. Just a short while ago, there was a peak wind gust of 111 kilometers per hour reported at Greenwood. That is the strongest wind gust I can remember being reported at the Greenwood area for quite some time. In the onshore easterly winds today up and down the Atlantic coastline, many coastal weather observation stations reporting gusts in excess of 100 kilometers per hour. And that, of course, contributing to the storm surge situation and some of the coastal flooding. So let's take a look at our gusts as we move through tonight. Now, heading towards midnight, the winds begin to shift around to the north and northeast. Still some gusts of 70 to 90, still could be to 110 kilometers per hour for coastal areas around Cape Breton. They gradually ease into Tuesday morning. There'll be gusts of 40 to 60 kilometers per hour for the mainland, 70 to 90 across Cape Breton, and then those winds will come down a little bit more as we move into Tuesday afternoon. Like I said, this weather system was slow to come in, very slow to ease out of the region. Low temperatures tonight between -7 and -2. High temperatures for tomorrow in the Annapolis Valley near -4, -5. -3 to 0 for the south shore of the province. Halifax, Dartmouth, -3 to -1. The north and northeast of the mainland between -7 and -3. Coldest in Cumberland County, and across Cape Breton tomorrow, temperatures ranging -2 to 0. In the 7-day forecast, we have another system on its way in. That one is going to be arriving Wednesday night and into Thursday morning. It does look like it is going to be a kind of a wet snow event with the possibility of seeing some accumulations in the range of 10 to 20 centimeters. So that'll be the next one we watch for. That'll be followed by a chance of flurries on Friday, and then a mix of sun and cloud on Saturday. So there we go, another busy week here as we head through mid-February, Tommy.
Keep the light on in the Weather Center,
We
Kayla.
escaped it, didn't we?
Yeah, no, not a
Winter's
chance.
here.
All right, Kayla, thanks very much.
Colin.
We'll talk a little later. I'd like to be a snowplow operator today.
Busy.
That would be a tough job indeed. I'll talk with the man in charge of plowing the highways and the roads in this province to try and get a handle on the snow removal efforts. Let's get the latest now on the driving conditions around Nova Scotia. Kevin Mitchell is in charge of the road clearing efforts for the province of Nova Scotia. We caught up with him at the EMO offices in Dartmouth. Mr. Mitchell, first of all, can you give us the latest on the 104 closure in the Amherst area?
Right now we have the area at the border of Nova Scotia and New Brunswick, the Tantramar Marsh area. That's currently closed, and really just due to the visibility concerns through that area. We're experiencing whiteout conditions, and it's this time it's just not safe to travel across there. So we have the border closed in conjunction with New Brunswick as well. Is that the area where you had the jackknifed tractor trailer? No, just a little bit south of there was the tractor trailer that I believe it got stuck on a hill and tried to back down the highway and ended up getting jackknifed, but close to the same area.
Okay. How would you describe the rest of the 100 series highways around the province?
Pretty much everything is experiencing either whiteout conditions or lots of heavy blowing snow. Everything is snow covered. The conditions are not very good out there right now. Did you pull the plows at any time today? No, everything stayed out. In our situation, typically, if they experience a whiteout condition, they'll just stop until the weather clears or the wind dies down a little bit and then proceed. So we typically don't pull the plows unless absolutely have to. And today, I give them a lot of credit. Working in this kind of weather is pretty tough. So they were staying out all day today. So has drifting and whiteouts, has that been the big issue today? Yeah, drifting with this wind, it just makes it such a challenge to try to get the snows clear. So yeah, the whiteouts, the reduced visibility, and just the heavy winds making that drifting, it's really going to restrict us getting all roads opened up or even trying to meet our levels of service. We will see delays in getting some roads open just because of the drifting. How big of a delay do you think people should anticipate? It's all going to depend on the area and how much snow came down and how much drifting it created. So I wouldn't want to speculate just off the top. We'll have to wait until this wind dies down to be able to get a full assessment done of all the roads. Well, given the timing of this storm, I mean, people are thinking obviously about whether they're going to get going tomorrow morning as well. Can you say anything about at least the 100 series highways, about what kind of condition they might be in? I would think once the wind dies down, the 100 series highways will be okay, passable with caution. This storm is still passing through our area, so I'm thinking as we get into the eastern end of the province, into Cape Breton, probably tomorrow morning, conditions are still going to be quite bad there. To the western parts, I think they'll improve through the night, and probably into the central parts of the province, we'll see some improvements through the night, but really, it depends on how long it takes for this to pass through and these winds to die down before we'll really know what the conditions will be like. All right, Mr. Mitchell, quite a day indeed. Thank you very much. You're welcome.